Alright, it's time to rank every main character of Victorious, from worst to best. So this is Tori, Andre, Beck, Jade, Robbie, Kat, and Trina. The only other contenders would be Rex, Psychoix, and Sinjin, but they didn't quite make the cut. They're prominent, and in the case of Rex, he literally gets carried around by Robbie, which is why I sort of considered him, but they're not part of the main group, which is what I wanted this to be about. Maybe they could be in a potential recurring characters video, but not today. This is about the stars. I'm just excited to be remaking this video. I made one like 4 years ago, but it was basically just praising Tori and hating on the other characters to counteract the Tori hate. It's really not that deep. Like, I don't take this show that seriously anymore, so I'm glad to finally be getting a chance to make a more sensical and balanced character rankings video. Alright, it's time to get in here. In 7th place, it's Beck Oliver. He's the worst and the most disappointing character that didn't live up to his potential. In the first episode, he was set up to be a big character in the middle of this love triangle, not a love triangle dynamic between him, Tori, and Jade. Like, he had a big role in the first episode, and I would say that he was a relevant character in the first few episodes actually, where he had a breakup with Jade. He got to sing in a musical with Tori. His RV was important in Survival of the Hottest, and he had the episode Beck's Big Break, which was about this acting gig that he got. But after that episode, his usage and importance just tails off. It doesn't help that he missed some episodes in season 2, but it was more than him not being there, because even when he was there, like, there was barely anything for him to participate in. Whatever happened to Beck's acting career after Beck's Big Break? He got his job back, so it just seemed like a missed opportunity to not have him get some more acting gigs. Even if they didn't want him to get these big acting gigs, like, he's still one of the best actors at Hollywood Arts. Like, that's what he's going there for, but he barely even got to perform, and that's for acting and singing. So he doesn't have much relevance in the show. He's not funny. Most of the time, he's just standing around reacting to stuff. I never laughed with Beck, but I laughed at Beck, or at least at the writers, because in the Begging on Your Knees episode and the Star Spangled Tori episode, they made Beck this bodyguard type of guy for Tori just to give him something. So not only is he adding nothing to the show, but the thing that solidified his spot in last place was when he got back with Jade. That was such a toxic couple, and he seemed to be more unhappy in the relationship than Jade. So I like that he broke up with Jade and tried to explore and experience life by trying to kiss Tori in Tori Goes Platinum. It felt like he got his independence, but he ruined it by caring too much about what Jade would think about him and Meredith, and eventually crawling back to Jade in Tori Fixes Beck and Jade. He didn't stand on business. He stood on nothing, and he's just pathetic for that. Years ago, I saw a post saying that they carried Victorious, and it was a picture of Jade, Beck, and Andre. So I asked the question on my social media, how did Beck carry the show? What's his case? And a lot of the comments said that it's because he's hot or eye candy. The people that were saying that like guys, so that's understandable, but that's not the case for me, so it's a non-factor. Then this guy stitched my video saying that he's like the leader of the group, or like some glue that held everything together, like a stabilizing force, which sounds nice on paper, but it's just not true. He kept Jade under control, I'll give him that, but he wasn't the leader of the group, and his calm attitude didn't always help keep everyone under control because he's so passive. I'm not going to say that if he was removed from the show, nothing would change, but that's not far off. Out of all the main characters, Beck definitely contributed the least to this experience, so he's going to land in 7th place. In 6th place, it's Robbie Shapiro. This was a really close call between Beck and Robbie, but I went with Robbie over Beck, but that doesn't mean that he's a good character, not even in relation to Beck. Like, they're both not good. It's just that Robbie is slightly better. Despite having Robbie a slot higher than Beck, he's actually the weakest link in the group. He's weird, especially when he's hitting on Kat. He's always getting picked on. He always needs someone to bail him out, like in Rex Dies, Tori gets stuck in the Hambone King. Speaking of those episodes, whenever he had episodes revolving around him, most of them are sad in a pathetic way, and they're just bad episodes. He's not funny, and whenever I laugh, it's not with him, it's at him, like when Andre destroyed his pear pad because he kept on using it for every function. Also, when there was a stretch of time in season 3 when Rex wasn't in the show, it seemed like Robbie was growing, with him finally getting a date to a dance and kissing Kat. They had a chance to solidify his development and growth by just writing Rex out of the show entirely at that point. But they let him get Rex back in the Robbie Sells Rex episode, and that just ruined everything that he had built up in season 3 because it seemed like he was becoming a more socially acceptable person without Rex, but getting him back just ruined all of that. Robbie's a bad character, but he always delivered on song performances like Broken Glass and when he and Kat were going around singing bad news to people, so that gave him the slight edge over Beck, but realistically, they're in the same boat. In 5th place, it's Kat Valantine. Now season 1 Kat was good. She was just a mostly normal teenager that was a bit ditzy, and she had a memorable catchphrase in "What's that supposed to mean?" When I was rating episodes, I actually said that she was one of the highlights of season 1 because she always brought guaranteed comedy without having to hog up screen time. Like, she was just that good. But as the later seasons came along, she became Catrick Star, especially in season 3. She was once just a ditzy teenager, but now she's a full-on dumb child, and I just didn't like how this was backed up, with everyone treating her like a child and Tori literally calling her a child in the Car, Rain, and Fire episode. Her side plots, which is what she was mostly in, were bad because a good amount of them were really random or barely had any connection to what was going on, like in season 2 when they had her jumping around everywhere, and in season 3 when she was tap dancing everywhere. I just had to laugh at that stuff because they wanted her to be in the show, but they had nothing interesting for her to participate in. Also, most of her dialogue just consisted of that annoying laugh, which replaced her signature catchphrase, "What's that supposed to mean?" There were times when I laughed at Kat's new antics, but it was hit or miss, and she's still a worse version of what she originally was in season 1. And since season 3 shifted to a more childish tone, I always considered Kat to be the poster child of season 3. Like, she had the most drastic character change and embodies everything that was bad about that season. Also, after having seen Quiet on Set and the slap videos, it is disturbing to think about Kat's character change and how seeing a young woman act like a child was potentially a turn on for the creator of this show. But that's not even factored in. Even without that, there's still enough reason for Kat to land at number 5 on the list. But she'll get the nod over Beck and Robbie because at least she had a whole season of being a good character, which is more than I can say for Beck and Robbie, and at least her singing was great. Like, even with her character derailment, that's the one thing I could always count on to be great, and while she didn't sing a ton, she contributed to some of the best songs in the show, so while she's not a great character, that is enough to give her the nod over Beck and Robbie. In 4th place, it's Andre Harris, the first solidly good character on this list. He's a very chill guy for the most part. There were times when he got angry and stressed out, but that wasn't annoying. That was actually funny, so I have no problem with his personality at all. His jokes always land, and he's one of the best performers in the show. His songs are amazing. The only real problem with Andre is whenever he had a big plot, it was always about some girl, or a record deal, or both in the case of the Andre's Horrible Girl episode. This got really repetitive. Like, can he have something else every once in a while? But at the end of the day, at least he got stuff, unlike Beck, and having most of his plots revolve around trying to impress these record companies actually makes sense, and these episodes are usually better in quality than the ones where he's dealing with a girl. The only exception to this is Jade Gets Crushed. It's one of the best episodes of the show, and it earned an A+ grade on my episode ratings. It's just an elite episode. But yeah, for the most part, I didn't really care about any of the random girls that Andre met, so it would have been nice to see those plots get switched out for other plots that had more variety to show off more sides of Andre. but that was the only place where they went wrong with Andre. He's still a great character because of his chill personality and music performances, so he's going to land in 4th place. In 3rd place, it's Tori Vega. Once in 1st place, now she's in 3rd. One of the best things that I can say about Tori is that she's consistent. She's a stable presence. She doesn't have the craziest personality like her friends, which limits the amount of funny moments that she can have, but because she doesn't have a crazy, volatile personality, that limited times where she could be annoying. Like, there were episodes where I liked Kat because of her quirkiness, like she was charming in those episodes, but then there were some episodes where I hated Kat because they exaggerated her personality so much to the point where it became annoying. Because of Tori's basic and relatable personality, that never really happened with Tori. Like, there weren't times when I overloved or overhated Tori. She was consistent and never really got flanderized. Also, another good thing about Tori is that she gave the best song performances. She sang the most songs and got the most opportunities, but that's not a negative to take away from that point. Because she was front and center and sang the most songs and I liked most of them, I credit Tori a lot with getting me to like the show. The songs were what was supposed to set this show apart and she nailed them. She came through in the most important aspect of the show, so I give her a lot of credit for that. But for negatives, I never really got annoyed by Tori, but I noticed that in the 3rd season, she whined and complained a lot. It's not a huge deal that ruins everything, but I prefer Tori's character from the previous seasons. Actually, the only time that I just wanted Tori to take a seat and was like, hey, just get out of here, was in the Hambone King episode when Robbie went through a whole episode of training to be the Hambone King just for Tori to beat Gerald in the end. That was unsatisfying. But the singing and that whole situation never got on my nerves. Like, Tori never got too much spotlight in the songs or in the show, except for the Hambone King. So the biggest negative about Tori is that she's not funny and she didn't really have any memorable moments outside of the song performances. The lack of an out there personality was good because it stopped her from getting flanderized, but it was also a negative because she never really does or says anything unexpected. She's just a regular character, which in some cases I will take that. Like, that's enough to beat out someone like Kat that has a unique personality, but she's annoying, but it's not enough to beat out the 2 characters that I have ahead of her, landing her in 3rd place. In 2nd place, it's Trina Vega. I love Trina, and if I made this video last year, then she would have been number 1 on the list. At first, I didn't think too much of Trina, mainly because out of the main characters, she's clearly the 7th option and she isn't even traditionally talented like the others. But as the years have gone by, I've gained more appreciation for Trina. She's crazy, but it's not annoying. Actually, that's what makes her one of the funniest characters in the show, with all of her failed attempts to get famous and just not taking a hint that no one likes her. But regardless, she just keeps on being herself, which leads to a lot of funny moments and chaos. Also, I relate to Trina a lot because of similar life experiences, with Tori basically being chosen over her by her parents, despite Trina actually being talented. She's not a singer or a dancer, she's not talented at the things that she focuses on, but she is good at martial arts and that can be useful in certain situations, so she's not completely untalented like how the show tries to suggest. But yeah, she brought a lot of entertainment to the show, so she's going to land in 2nd place. And in 1st place, it's Jade West. Very big turnaround because I used to rank her low in defense of Tori because Jade fans always used to put down Tori to make their point, so I didn't like that and rated the character low because of the fans. Now, that's not a factor, and it's just time to say that she's flat out the best character in the show. Her only gimmick or personality trait is being mean, but she excels in that role. She plays her role better than anyone in the main cast. There were times when she was annoying, mainly talking about the Tori Gets Stuck episode, but for the most part, It was fun watching her antics and seeing her make fun of people like Sinjin and Tori, especially with that southern accent. I also liked when she screamed "no" whenever someone was annoying her. None of this stuff is good morally, but just because Jade is performing bad actions, that doesn't make her a bad character or a badly written character, especially in a fictional show. I love the chaos and edge that she brings to the show, and it's needed to counteract Tori and Kat's energy and just balance out the show. Speaking of good things that she brought to the show, I also love her singing. She's my second favorite performer in the show, and she contributed to some top tier Victorious songs like Give It Up, Take a Hint, and especially You Don't Know Me. Even when she was in more ensemble group performance type of songs, her voice still shone through, and whenever Jade was in a song performance, that was always a highlight of an episode. Also, I find it impressive that there were basically 2 versions of Jade, season 1, then the rest of the show, but unlike Kat, she was able to maintain being a good character for the whole run. The only potential negative was that Jade and Beck got back together, which I didn't like because they were a toxic couple and they didn't really add much to the show as a couple outside of the few episodes that focused on their relationship. It's not ideal that they got back together, but like I said, Beck lost more points for that because Jade was already a good character with and without Beck, and if Beck ditched her and became more independent, then he could have earned some more points, but that was not the case. But yeah, there's really nothing I can complain about with Jade. Very fun character, and she's a very talented singer, so she's going to rank in first place. And that is every main Victorious character ranked. Glad that I got to remake this video with a better mindset and more notes this time around. Even though characters like Beck and Robbie are low, at the end of the day, I have a lot of love for them for being part of one of my favorite shows of my childhood. But yeah, that is all for now.